The reason you want to go always with an experienced casting director who knows the talent in town, Orange County, LA, or they know the parameters by which they've got to cast over experience. You want to go with them because, number one, you're going to save time and money.
Welcome to Industry Insights. My name is Jim Ellis, and this is Elias Acosta, and we're the hosts of this show, which brings information and insight to the next generation of filmmakers. And we have an exciting show this morning. We have a casting director here. I think, Elias, next to writing, don't you think acting is one of the most important talents to making a successful film?
Well, I think choosing the right talent for the right script and that's very critical to the whole project. So I think this is why it's so important this morning to talk about that area, because every time I receive a script as a director, I see the character, and I have to be thinking who would be the perfect match for the character, who can play it. And so that's a gamble that you take as a director, but then you have a casting director that does a lot of advanced work for you, and hopefully you will get the right person.
Yeah, because you and I have had some fun with actors in the past, and right. Without a casting director, it was entertaining, really.
Yeah, because you had to do your own interview, and there was no cleaning up first before going through, and then there came raw in front of us, and say, oh, I've done this and that, and they feel like they are in control. I got this, and then it's not what you're looking for. I had some experience by, like in Italy. So I was in this session where they have everybody there and coming, but people want to impress you with their playing, and they try to push themselves too much. And sometimes directors don't like that. If you try to force yourself, or if you're a lady and you overdone with your makeup and try to impress, sometimes that doesn't work too well for directors. They want to see a person as a person first, right? And then they take it from there. So I think it would be interesting to understand and to find out more about that.
So next time what we'll do is we'll hire Samuel Warren, and we're just excited to have Samuel here. We met a few months ago, and we had such a good time. We thought we got to get back together and have at least lunch. But so we thought this is good. Samuel's worked for so many companies; it takes a day and a half to go through his resume. I tried to do that this morning, and but some of the people that he's worked for is American Idol. He's worked for the promos for the Oscars, SeaWorld, Royal Caribbean. And just drive down the street in San Diego, and he's worked for all those companies you drive past. So it's good to have him here, 40 years of experience. And
thank you. So it's my pleasure to be here. I really enjoy working and being in this business since 1982. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So given all of that, in 1982, wow. I was in college back then, so you were already a professional.
I like to say I was only 16.
You weren't born yet, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a date reference there. Anyway, but how did you get started?
It was quite extraordinary. I wanted to be a working actor. I was going to San Diego State University, majoring in music and composition, in fact. And but I wanted to be an actor, so I went out and hustled some money together after working that particular job, and had a headshot, and at that time we call it a composite. That's where you smile on the front and you have your different looks on the back. They don't hardly do that much now. It's basically different photos for different, looks that are separated. So what I did is I had a headshot made. I had all the different looks. I got an agent. And while I was waiting for a possible, opportunity to go on auditions, I saw in the drama log, which is no longer in existence, but is a part of the the Hollywood Reporter and a lot of the other industry papers, a casting call for a movie that was going to be shot in San Diego called The First Experience, a movie for ABC. And I said, great. So I sent my headshot and my resume off. And the casting directors, Dave Eman and Bill Lytle, who had cast The Return of the Jedi, Friday the 13th in 3D, they had done a lot of location casting. They said, why don't you come to LA? We'd like to interview you. So I took my headshot and resume up there, even though they had one. And I met with them and they said, oh, by the way, since you're in LA today, we'd love for you to come up here to work. But if you are available, we'd like you to help us, tell some people that we're coming to San Diego to possibly work and be in this movie as extras. So when I came back to San Diego, I got a hold of, I forget the extraordinary man worked at Starlight. Starlight is a theater in Balboa Park. They would stop every time the planes would come over, and then when the plane would pass and they'd start the acting again and the music would continue. So he was so nice. He sent me so many people. I ended up getting 400 headshots and resumes. I had a little suitcase. I took it back to Dave Eman and Bill Lytle. And I said, look, I want to prove to you I want to work. Now, fortunately, I'd had experience working in the church, doing door-to-door sales, so I knew how to communicate with people. But I didn't, you never know that those gifts will come in handy when you're doing this kind of work. So finally, they said to me, you're going to work for us. We're going to have you cast. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to learn. They're going to train me. It was on-the-job training. They don't tell you what to do. You better figure it out, and you better do it right.
Right. But did you get the part?
I got the part.
You got the part.
I cast one of, they did the first 2 days, which were like 8 or 40, and then I did the rest of the other 4 days. And especially on that last day, I had to have 200 extras on the set at the Hotel Del, and everything went well. And my producers gave me a bottle of champagne. They said, you did very well. We were very pleased with your work. That was the first week of filming. So they had 3 more weeks to do in Los Angeles, which I didn't do the LA. My other cast directors who had hired me took that job on, but it made them look really good. Wow. And so that's how I started.
And so you didn't choose this field; it chose you.
It did.
That's amazing. And was that the last acting job you ever had? Did you move right into casting?
I moved right into casting, and a couple of times I got a little acting job because the producers wanted to put me in something. But I no longer went after that because it's a conflict of interest. I want to cast myself, and then I want to, be the casting director.
Well, that was my next question. That being that you went in for as an actor, and then you come out as a casting director.
Yes.
What would that did to you internally, or?
That's deep, Elias.
Well, it's a decision.
It is deep because what you don't know is that I used to be involved in, I still am, but is involved in church ministry and moved up the ranks as church administrator. But I still would have to go to neighborhoods door to door and share my faith of Jesus Christ. So you move up and down that ladder. And what it did to me, I realized that casting is a real delicate process because most actors are very sensitive, and yet they are out there, but they're sensitive. So I really learned how to understand people as I cast them and really realize that people were hungry. You know what I mean? It's one thing to be a source, to give people opportunity, but to be on the other end and to know what it is to lack opportunity and to need opportunity. I really began to understand that because I started from the bottom up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly.
That's
you
great.
see what I'm saying?
And all of that, it's a field that's so competitive.
Yes.
And when it comes to dealing with personality from different background, and you as a director have to select the right person. You have to select what you judge at that moment is the right person, the right candidate. Now, what has been one of those moments where it's been hard for you to choose or to suggest a person A versus person 2 based on the character? I imagine you read the script, you go through the whole process, and then you had to submit what
I thought. There's two answers, but I think I'm going to answer the easiest way to say this. I learned that I was in a session with a director, and this person was the dean of one of the colleges, which will not be named. Starts with a G.
What's the last letter?
People who live in San Diego know there's only one college starts with a G. This person was the dean. He came in, he's a very good actor, but boy, did he have attitude. And I said to my director, I said, this guy treats me like I'm nothing. And he's just got attitude. He said, Sam, don't worry. He doesn't have to act. He's playing himself. And this is the character that the husband is. He was the husband playing the role. He was going to be working with Jane Seymour and who was really climbing the ladders for television movies at that time. And so he said, don't worry about it. So this actor ended up being cast because he had that attitude. Now, I don't think he was playing that attitude because he was in character. I think this was really him. And to be honest, this is how we cast kids. A lot of times we cast kids based on them playing a part of themselves, And there have been other times, the other part of this question would be, I want to give an answer to, is that because I didn't know a lot of actors at the time, I would have to read a lot of actors. So I would be sure on who I was recommending to my director. So after I would read 200, 400, 500 people over a period of 2 or 3 days, I learned how to figure out who would be right. It's kind of like, after you've seen enough of certain talent, you figure out what's going to work. And then I would make recommendations. And then one thing theatrical casting directors were not doing at that time in the 80s, I was videotaping everybody. And I had everybody logged. So if you didn't agree with what I saw, all you had to do is sit through the videotapes, and the headshots matched the order of the tape log, which matched the video that you were watching. 1, 25, 100. You would see all and you could literally go through my session and see who I actually saw. Not realizing it was a way of protecting myself. Should a director say, well, I don't think you saw enough people. I saw not only enough people, but I would read them 3 and 4 times. And the take that you would see as number 1 was really the 3rd and the 4th take. And the 4th take that you would see was take number 8. So I would polish the talent, and my associate said, are we going to have another acting class today? And the casting said, I said, I learned to help people do what they want to do. If I help you and to be the best that you want to be, when you break out, I look good. If you fail, it won't be because I didn't try, because the director's seen all the takes. So that's a long answer to.
Yeah, but it's a good one, because in the whole concept of the process, and how difficult sometimes that is. Now, Jim, one time you and I had a discussion, and it was if we should bring in a casting director or an agency and with the representatives to be part of the process. And I remember I was saying, no, we need a casting director. And you told me, nah, with the agency and we can solve that. I said, okay, but, and that was, we back and forth. We settled for bringing in the agency and look at headshot, and we make our own decision. Now, the question now is, what is the difference? Why we should go with a casting director versus when with an agent and agency and so on?
The reason you want to go always with an experienced casting director who knows the talent in town, Orange County, LA, or they know the parameters by which they've got to cast over experience. You want to go with them because number one, you're going to save time and money. Because a lot of times the agent sends you headshots, and when you bring that talent in, which you probably found out, they don't look anything like those headshots. Number two, we have talent submit selfies now because, well, look, I mean, Jim looks great right now. He looks great. And when you take the picture, this is what you're going to get. But there are other actors who take this picture, this is the look, but when they come in, they don't look anything like that. The picture's 2 or 3 years old, the lighting's not right, or maybe they haven't shaved or whatever. So that's number one. Number two, you want to pre-screen the talent watching the work they've done so you can see that maybe they have done work that's similar to yours that might fit in your project, or maybe they just don't have the acting skills. They look great, but the skills are not there. You're not seeing any videotape or clips of their stuff that proves that they need to be in your project. All right. Now, the agent is always, the people within the agency can only be the people represented by that agent. I'm going to bring in people, or any casting director is going to bring in people if they're not, I'm going to say that a bad word, prejudice. I bring in actors I don't necessarily like, but they're right for the role. And I will tell you up front, this actor has a little bit of an attitude. So if you can deal with the attitude, but they can drop it. Now, when you hire George Clooney, because I've worked with George is wonderful to work with. But there are other actors, like the actor I was telling you about, who had an attitude. There are a lot of actors in that. And sometimes it's a self-confidence thing. They want. But they're not so easy to work with, but they're wonderful. When you say action, bam, you get, as a director, they can deliver the good, but you wouldn't want to go home with that actor.
Right. And the bottom line is it's the right part for the
right person.
For the right person, and whether it's hard to work with or not.
Correct. And if you choose an agency, you can only get the people from that agency.
Okay. Good.
That's why you never, if Martin Scorsese uses a casting director, even though he knows many actors, we should use a casting director. And those of you that watched Dune saw that wonderful movie. That casting director's been around for years, and she's highly experienced. Now, of course, you as a director and producer, there are going to be maybe 10 or 20 people you might want to read. We'll read those people, but we're going to bring those people in with other people so you can match and get the best actor for your dollar.
That's great. Well, then, since we're talking money, at what budget level do you need to get a recognizable actor for an independent film?
That's a loaded question. It depends on what the economics are currently at that time and the needs within the industry. During COVID, I shouldn't say this, but the person is related to Julie Roberts, offered their services. The manager offered their services to be with us in a Pachanga commercial. And I told the producers straight up, I said, you're not going to be able to use this actor later. But right now, during COVID, you can get this actor within your budget. They didn't move. I had another client, you know James Brown, the singer? I'm going to say Brown. It's a dealer in Mission Valley, just blank Brown. We offered James Brown for a blank number of dollars. They could afford it. They didn't want to do it. Right after that, he blew up one more time before he passed away. He would have come down. The manager was for it. Mr. Brown was for it, and would have. Can you imagine? Woo!
Yeah.
You know,
same name.
That would have been a popular commercial.
Yeah.
Even if they had only sold 2 cars from behind it.
Yeah.
It would have also opened up the playing field to youth, to mature people, and older people who had known that talented. So,
Yeah.
Good.
Walk us through a day in the life of the casting director. So you said you are 24/7 up, and whoever calls, you take the call. It doesn't matter, But what is it like a day in your life as a professional? How you start your day, how you end your day?
All right. It's great. I love it when I'm busy. Does that answer? I hate having to wait and farm. I call it farming when you got to call producers and check in with previous clients and say, what you doing? Are you working on anything? Mm-hmm. But as people in business and people who are listening to this and watching this, I mean, even if you're not in the entertainment business, you know how it is to farm and to pitch work. It can be a little testing. But what I do on the side is I train actors how to work in the business so they can book work. I've taken somebody that has not known anything about acting, who wanted to be on a TV series for one episode, and he knew nothing about acting. He was over 40, and literally taught him how to do this scene, and then he left my office and booked the job, going directly to the director and auditioning on that day. Now, maybe this was a fluke, but I've done it on numerous occasions. There have been children actors, or I should say martial artists, who were not actors at all, who wanted to be considered for a co-starring role in a martial arts movie. And they come into my office. It took me 4 hours to walk them through their paces. They started crying. I said, well, if you want to cry, we can just quit right now. Get out of the business. This is not for you. There's so many other wonderful things you can do with your life. She said, no, I really want to do this. I say, well, you're going to have to suck it up because we ain't got any time for this. So we did it. That video was taken. It was sent to the casting directors who did Boy Meets World. Some of you might remember that old TV series. These casting directors were, when COVID was going on, these casting directors were still working. They were that phenomenal. So they liked the videotape they had seen. So they said, we're going to give her a call back. So we did another 3 hours. Why do we have to do 4 and 3 hours? Total of 7 hours. Because she didn't understand. We had to work it until she could get into the moment. You know what I mean? So finally, we did this third video. They loved it. So they brought her in person. So we did a little short session. She went in. The casting directors loved her when they saw her in person. She went down the hallway right to the director. She did the reading. She booked the job on that day. That just doesn't happen like that.
There you go. Okay.
And when she worked on the set, they said, oh, she experienced because she knew how to do it. So I went through every scene. So she would, so one of the things I do is help people get work. So that helps me take time off of when I'm not busy casting. I can work with actors. Yeah.
That answer your question.
That answers right there.
Does it? Huh?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we have so many works on the pipeline, and I think that's Mr. Warren brings us right against that question concerning from an 8 list, and we have a definite limited budget, and you want to have an 8 list. And how you go about that?
Okay.
Pay and play, for example.
Let me answer that question. Okay. I was talking about the realities of the budget. So if you have a major project under the SAG umbrella, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, either the casting director has to have the relationship with that actor or needs to put out a message to some of the agents who represent or managers or talent who would possibly fit that role, who bring a name. That price tag will determine whether you need them for 1 or 2 or 3 days. Did I answer your question? So you might have to, for $100,000 budget, I don't know, 20, it's not a reality unless we know somebody that is willing to get 10 grand or 20 grand for the day.
Exactly.
Unless there's an ongoing pandemic, huh?
Yes.
Well, I think that's helpful to know that, yes, you can get an A-list actor, just limit the days he's there.
Right.
Being organizing, because
and give them a producing credit, which some people do.
Yeah.
You know,
is there a way to
some back end?
There you go. I was just thinking that maybe pay him in a creative way.
Right.
Which are some of those ways you suggest?
First of all, money is the upfront need for the industry, as greedy as it is. But then you might, if you really feel you're going to really make some money off this project, then give him a real back end deal that, you know, if some entertainment attorney looks at it, they say, well, this is a real deal. You know, should the movie sell? Should the project
maybe
sell?
Explain back end deal to some of these folks?
It would be as if the project is sold or picked up, there's a certain amount of money that the production company or entity would get, and out of some of that money would go to the actor or the executive producer, whoever is a part of that money streamlining system. I'm not saying it right, but I think people get it. It's like an investment. You know, if someone buys the investment, you get a return.
Gotcha.
You know, but don't be so convoluted that, they'll never get a return. Because I've done a lot of castings on projects where I didn't get paid, but I had a back end deal and saw no money. And then I wondered, you know, and then the movie ended up on television. And I said to myself, wow, I must have not negotiated too well.
Yeah.
Jim, as you go through, and we've been working on some of those scripts, you know, we think about, and the term came up, pay to play. And, you know, and we were talking about that. Maybe Mr. Warren can shed some light.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of, when you put that pay to play, they're going to make some money. Like I said, it's greedy. But a lot of times people will want a letter of intent that if you're part of this project, I did have one actor give a letter of intent. Nothing happened to that project. And so they want to pay to play and they want a back end. They want something that will bring in money because of their reputation and credibility.
Yeah.
Another things that happen with projects, and this is not an answer to the question always, but if I hire XYZ actor, now another producer over here wants to see, okay, so what did you pay that actor on XYZ? Because we're negotiating over here and it's $1 million more, 20 million more, whatever it is. And they want to know what the previous job was paying him. So I say to growing talent, don't cheapen yourself by doing something that you will regret and cannot be a bargaining tool. So a lot of times they won't let you guys, you know, they won't come over a certain budget because they say the next producer is going to come and ask what we got paid, and we can't get paid any lower than this, and it's got to be more. Okay. So I don't know if that answered that question.
Yeah.
You know?
And that gives it within reality. I mean,
it is. But if they like your script.
Oh, that's the next.
All right. If they love the script and you or the producer or the director producer are able to sit down and have a Zoom meeting, if not in person, sometimes talent can be persuaded because the manager, not the agent, because they're only interested in dollars things a lot of times, the manager may be willing to have that conference. Yeah. And after they've read the script and, you know, let's talk about this and you know, because they want to make sure that they're going to make something out of it, because a lot of people want to talk, but there's no money. You know what I mean? There's no money at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes do you recommend, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking of you as a director and maybe some of the future projects that we're working on. What's that relationship going to be between someone like Samuel as a casting director? How would you work together? How does that look?
Yeah. Well, what you do You want to hear the business side, and then you want to hear the friendship side.
Yeah.
The business side is you put me on a very small retainer, and then I have some incentive to spend my time and to go looking for people. The other side is if it's just a one-shot deal, I'll put it out there, but I need something to attract the talent. I need fish on the bait. Otherwise, just to put a hook in there, they're going to steer away from that. So I need something that is going to attract the talent. One agent said to me, if you were under the union agreement, that means you got to sign some paperwork. You haven't paid anybody yet. But if you're under the union agreement, you might be able to get more talent. I would be able to submit to you people. And this agent called me out in New York. See, what I'm going to do, I shouldn't tell my secrets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it out to everybody at the same time, because I don't want to fish here and then jump to I want to put it out to so I can increase my options of opportunity. If I can get 2 or 3 people, that's all I need. And then we talk to the first person that you really want to talk to first. And we see if there's some interest there, if we can set up a meeting. Even if we have to have a meeting between the agent and the talent, or just the agent or the manager and their client, because it makes the manager look good if we're having, it can be a Zoom meeting, but since everybody's so plague orientated, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah. But let's say, for example, the relationship between you as a casting director and the director, what kind of a trust should be in there? Oh, there is a conflict sometime. Oh, how,
I because I'm a believer, and I know that the scripture says, whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If I try to trick you or you, okay. God said, I got that. 2 and 3 more tricks will come my way. But if I'm honest with you, even to my own detriment, God says, I'll take care of you. See, that's the kind of faith I have to have. Otherwise, walk away from Christianity. But I've been on the foreign field. I've seen the miracles. I've seen the miracles in my own church. I've seen the miracles in my own life. I know that God is real, and I've got to respect. So I give ultimate trust in that director. When you give and you trust people and you've done all you could, you're going to find out where the weakness is. It may be in the other person. Now, if you can work through that, then it's okay. But if you can't work through that, then you have to walk away from that working relationship. You don't stand in there and be abused. And you just say, look, I don't think this is going to work out for you or me, and thank you very much. You walk away. And that's tough.
Well, there you go. There's something that we didn't really gauge on coming and sitting down at this table today, but I think this is something that's really important. It's expectation, boiling it all down, I think. It's expectation and how you handle people and how you expect things and believe for things. You can expect for the greatest talent. You can believe for the greatest talent. Because, as you say, there's someone there working for us, right?
That's it.
And I think that's a great lesson out of all of this. So you want big name talent, believe for those open doors, right?
That's it.
And I think that's really important because it's not always money or relationships. It's sometimes the doors open up without you even being a part of it.
That's it.
And, so
at the end of the day, is integrity. That's
the
a
word.
big word because these days that's been so it's an old school stuff,
right?
And nobody want to go there because everything is relative now,
Right.
But you got to be transparent in everything, the whole process, and I think the film industry is one of those that is so sometimes shady and dark. And,
do you know what they talk about integrity? I mean, we signed a contract on a napkin with a certain person, an A-list actor.
Wow.
And we just knew that he would follow through.
Yeah.
A napkin.
Wow.
I will be there on this date, signed. Remember that?
exactly.
I think we still got the napkin somewhere. That's
is
integrity, and
that's it.
it's still in this
It's still
industry.
yes.
So let's, to say that is still there is also a positive thing to end this on. I think, is there anything else we wanted to That's
Yeah, I
Samuel?
just want you to send a message to those, from directors and actors up and coming, writers. What is the essence of this industry? Why we do this?
I think most of us do this because we really do love this industry. I don't want to use the word magical, but it's the best word I have. There's something magical, even supernatural, about working with great people in the industry. I have met some of the most wonderful, the best, loving, caring people in this industry. Part of the problem is you've got to be an individual yourself of integrity. Yes, you might be screwed sometimes. All of us at this table have been screwed. And in life, you get screwed, even when you're not even doing the entertainment business. But you never let go of the integrity. That's going to help you. And that's going to keep you from being rotten inside. Because some people can be so rotten to you, you begin to lose faith in someone bigger than you. Paul said, I learned not to depend on myself. You have to believe in someone greater than yourself. Yes, your parents, your mentors. There are a lot of people that may make up your life. There may be people who care about you or people who don't care about you. But you've got to understand that if you have great trust, someone will always see that and rely on you. We are living in a day, like it was said in a book, the best of times and the worst of times. The best of opportunities and the worst of opportunities. It's what you make it. Do you see the glass half full or do you see the glass empty? How do you see your life? And that's it.
Well, what do you think?
Well, there's been a lot of lessons, a lot of information here. Very, very important.
I want to say one other thing. Work with a casting director. Work with them. You may have to go through 3 or 4 of them before you find the one that fits you. But work with them because we're just as hungry as you are if you're a producer, director. Sometimes we'll just read a script and say, well, what about this actor? What about that actor? Because we're adventurous too.
That's awesome. Great stuff. Well, if you want to learn more about Samuel, you can go to SamuelWarren.com or on social media, Twitter at SamuelWarrenCast, on Instagram at Samuel Casting Services. And to learn more about us, you can go to thefilmhubinc.com or follow us on social media at The Film Hub Inc. Until next time, it's Industry Insights. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you for the pleasure. It's an opportunity. Thank you, guys.
The Film Hub. Inspire the creative. Ignite the world.